Welcome to True Life Lessons, where we explore the profound wisdom hidden within the struggles and stories of our daily lives. Meet James, a young man who felt like the entire universe was constantly conspiring against him, making every single effort fail. It seemed that no matter how hard he tried, clumsy mistakes and unfortunate events followed him like a dark, heavy shadow. He looked at himself in the mirror and wondered why success was a distant island that he could never quite reach. Another rejection letter arrived today, adding to the mounting pile of failures that seemed to define his entire young existence. He felt like he was walking through a storm without shelter, while everyone else seemed to have figured out the path. Lost in the chaotic crowd, he began to believe that perhaps he was simply born to fail at everything he touched. Desperate for answers, he decided he could no longer live with this heavy burden of constant disappointment and unexplained bad luck. He heard of a wise Zen Master living high in the mountains who could explain the true nature of human suffering. The journey was long and arduous, winding through steep paths and misty peaks, symbolizing his difficult quest for truth and clarity. Even on this journey he stumbled often, but the hope of finding an answer gave him the strength to keep moving. Finally he stood before the ancient gates of the monastery, a place of silence that seemed to hold the universe's secrets. He was welcomed inside, where the air was thick with incense, and the only sound was the gentle chiming of bells. The master sat by a tranquil pond, his presence radiating a deep peace that James had never experienced in his life. James poured out his heart, explaining how every step he took seemed to lead him directly into a wall of failure. The master listened without interruption, his eyes filled with compassion, before slowly standing up to address the young man's deep pain. He led James to a long, dim corridor lined with many different doors, each one unique in its design and appearance. Some doors were covered in gold, others painted in vibrant red, and some were even adorned with sparkling, precious gemstones. The master handed James a heavy set of keys and told him to find the path to the Garden of Enlightenment. James felt a surge of excitement, believing that behind these magnificent doors lay the success and happiness he had always craved. He immediately rushed to the largest, most golden door, convinced that it must hide the greatest reward behind its shining surface. But when the heavy door creaked open, he found nothing but a solid brick wall and a cloud of choking dust. His heart sank, but he quickly moved to the next door, a vibrant red one that looked promising and full of life. He turned the key with hope, only to reveal a dark, empty closet filled with ancient cobwebs and the smell of decay. Panic began to set in as he rushed to a door studded with jewels, thinking surely this one held the answer. But behind the jewels was a terrifying drop into darkness, causing him to stumble back in fear and growing desperation. He frantically tried the blue door, the silver one, and the purple one, but each opened to emptiness or a dead end. Exhausted and defeated, James collapsed on the floor, surrounded by the mocking beauty of doors that led to absolutely nowhere. The master approached him gently and pointed toward the very end of the hallway, where a forgotten door stood in shadows. It was an old, rotting wooden door, ugly and unpolished, the kind of door that everyone would ignore and walk past. James shook his head, thinking it was a joke, for how could beauty and truth be hidden behind such ugliness? But with the master's silent encouragement, he dragged his tired body toward the final option, expecting yet another painful disappointment. He inserted the last rusty key into the lock, the sound echoing loudly like a final judgment in the silent corridor. The door was stuck, forcing him to push with all his remaining strength, fighting against the resistance of the old wood. Suddenly the door gave way, and a flood of brilliant golden sunlight poured over him, blinding him for a brief moment. As his eyes adjusted, he saw a paradise of blooming flowers, singing birds, and a crystal-clear stream flowing with life. He stepped into the garden, feeling the fresh air fill his lungs, washing away the dust and despair of the corridor. The master stood beside him, and together they watched the leaves dance in the wind, surrounded by peace and beauty. James asked why the beautiful doors were empty traps, while the broken, ugly door was the gateway to such paradise. The master smiled wisely and replied, asking if James realized he had to try the wrong doors to find this one. He explained that without checking the other doors, James would never have known which one was truly the right path forward. A light of realization dawned in James's eyes as he understood that his failures were not punishments, but necessary steps. Each wrong door was not a mistake, but a guide, narrowing down the possibilities until only the truth remained for him. Failure is simply a teacher who shows us where we should not go so we can focus on where we must go. The master emphasized that the only true failure in life is to stop opening doors because you are afraid of disappointment. James bowed with deep gratitude, feeling the heavy weight of self-doubt lift from his shoulders, replaced by a new courage. He left the mountain that day not with a map of success, but with a mindset that would change his entire life. Back in the city, James started a new business venture, pouring his energy into it, but it did not go well. The business failed within a year, but instead of despair, James calmly packed his boxes, knowing this was just another door. He smiled to himself, realizing he had simply found a red door, and now he was one step closer to his garden. He applied to university again, studying late into the night, treating every difficult subject as a key he had to master. He didn't get into the top university, but he accepted his place at a smaller college, seeing it as his path. Standing in front of a classroom for the first time, he felt a spark of joy he had never known before. After graduation, instead of chasing money, he chose to travel to a poor village to teach children who had nothing. His classroom was simple and the roof leaked, but the laughter of the children made it feel like a royal palace. One day, a young student threw his pencil down, crying that he was stupid because he kept making mistakes in writing. James sat down beside the boy, smiled gently, and began to share the story of the corridor and the hidden garden. He saw the boy's eyes light up with hope, and in that moment, James saw his own younger self finding peace. Years passed, and James became a beloved teacher, guiding thousands of students through their own corridors of doubt and fear. His former students returned to build a beautiful new school, a testament to the impact of one man's resilience. Looking back at his life, he realized that every failure he endured was a necessary stone in his foundation of success. His life had become the beautiful garden he once saw, grown from the seeds of patience and the water of perseverance. So, remember, James, whenever you face a closed door or a dead end in your own personal journey of life, do not look at failure as a sign to stop, but as a helpful signpost pointing you toward a better direction. If you are going through a hard time, keep moving, keep opening doors, and never let the fear of failure stop you. Your garden is waiting for you, but you must be brave enough to get through the hallway of mistakes to find it. Embrace every stumble and every fall, for they are the only way you will learn how to truly fly and soar. Your story is not defined by the chapters where you fell, but by how you wrote the ending after getting up. We are all travelers in this corridor of life, searching for our own doors, learning from every single lock we turn. Let your failures be the lighthouse that guides you through the storm, not the rocks that sink your ship in despair. Trust the process of your life, believe in your journey, and know that the right door will open at the right time. As the sun sets on our story, take a moment to appreciate how far you have come and keep moving forward. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery, and may you find the courage to open your own doors. Remember that within every failure lies the seed of a success that is just waiting for you to help it grow. This is True Life Lessons. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs hope.